exciting. Come on, come up the mountain. Let's not be lazy. So many amazing sights to see. After that, everything goes blank. And it was really scary. Yeah, really traumatic. It was like torture for me. Hey everyone. I'm assuming you've clicked on the video after you have read the title. I've been thinking about making this kind of video for a while now, and I've been thinking about the perfect way for me to start it, but there really isn't a way for me to perfectly tell you guys. It's not every day that you would hear a story like mine. And that's the reason why I have decided to share it. So the story begins in October 2016, where myself and my Year 8 class made the decision to go on school camp to the Grampians in Victoria. If you're not familiar of this area in Australia, it's a mountainous region where a lot of people go to hike and explore the mountainous region that is offered here. It is really beautiful, and it's a great area where lots of wildlife and bushland is found. So my class was enjoying doing lots of different adventurous things each day on this camp. We were hiking mountains, we were exploring trails throughout the mountains, we were rock climbing. We really just were taking in all of this beautiful scenery, and it was all a little bit different and scary for me. We really enjoyed our time there as a class, and we all got to know each other a lot better. So on the Thursday of this camp, we were faced with two activities that we were going to complete during the day. We would either be doing a 30k bike ride where we were following a trail throughout the trails that they had for bikes there, or we would be hiking a big mountain called Mount Stapleton. We were split off into two groups, the girls and the boys. The girls were given the task of doing the 30k bike ride early in the morning whilst the boys hiked the mountain. So I myself, a 13-year-old, I wasn't the most athletic person. And so going on this big 30k bike ride really tired me out. I'm much more of a swimmer. I prefer being in the water. And so I was absolutely buggered when I got back to lunch. Talked about how the boys really enjoyed the mountain trail and our lunch as a class, and I was just sitting there going, I cannot go up this bloody mountain. I remember talking to my girlfriends at this point and being like, guys, there's no way that I'm going to be able to go up this mountain. Like, I'm going to have to go to the teachers and tell them that I can't do this hike. The other girls agreed with me, and some of them came with me to the teachers. I think it was 3 or 4 of them, and we all said to the teachers, guys, we are so exhausted. We're not going to be able to make it up this hike on the mountain. Can we please stay behind, and we're just going to chill here, drink lots of water? But the teacher's response to us was, no, it's going to be so exciting. Come on, come up the mountain. Let's not be lazy. You know, there's going to be so many amazing sights to see, and we're going to have a blast. I was forced to go up this mountain hike. About after 30 minutes of having a break, having our sandwiches and everything, we were told that it was time to do our activity. The boys went off and did their bike ride, and the girls were about to take on the next adventure of going up the mountain. So we set off on our trail, and myself, being probably the slowest person there, was at the back of the group of girls. I was slowly making my way up the mountain. My legs were absolutely killing me as I walked up. I remember just being like, why are they forcing me to do this? Why can't I just be back at the base camp? I remember we used to have little mini breaks, and because I was the last one, I was kind of dragging the chain for the rest of the group. I would have 2 minutes, and then we would have to take off again to go the rest of the way up the mountain. This was really, really, really hard for me. But we got to the top, and we could see the boys kind of riding on their little trail. They kind of look like little ants to us up on the mountain. Beautiful scenery around, and we took lots and lots of photos. At about probably 40 to 45 minutes of a break here. And then the tour guide said to us, okay guys, it's time for us to go down the mountain. I remember there was no warning from the tour guide that there might be some danger or to be careful because it might be a little bit slippery. I just remember there being a big smile on his face. It's got to be when he is a tour guide. Because I wasn't an expert mountain climber, I didn't know what to expect. And so we set off on our descent. We were in a single file line going down the mountain. The tour guide was at the front of the group and the teacher was at the back, and I was in the middle. The last thing that I remember, stepping down some rocks at that point, which had joined the very top of the mountain to kind of like the walking trail, almost ramp, this big rock ramp. That's how I'd like to describe it. I'm not sure if that kind of makes sense, but I want you to imagine that in your head. But that is the last thing that I remember. After that, everything goes blank. Next series of events I have gained from all of my friends that were a part of that group, the girls walking group that day. And so on the descent, I had apparently tripped on some rocks, started to stumble, started to gain speed up, because obviously you're kind of going to gain some momentum if you are running. And as I was kind of starting to fall off of the edge, I was told I grabbed onto a plant to try and save myself, but it gave way and ended up falling off of the edge, falling 10 meters down to some rocks. Because I was in the middle of the group, there wasn't really an adult there to help me or to grab onto me when I started to fall. In my version of events, we had made the way down the descent of the mountain and our class being on the bus back to school. These visions must have been coming back to me whilst I was unconscious, but there was nothing that had happened that was dangerous. And I remember having conversations with my friends. We were talking about how it was the best trip we had been on whilst we were at school. Everything was normal. Sadly, that is not the way that things went. I just want to put a warning in here. I'm about to be talking about some of the injuries that I sustained on the fall, the things that the paramedics had to perform on me, and also what happened at the hospital. So if you get triggered at all from talking about that kind of thing, I will put a little time to fast forward to where I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I wanted to put a warning out there. So obviously, once I had fallen, the teacher and the tour guide gathered the group and told them to stay up on the mountain, and they came down to me to investigate what was happening to me. At this point, I was semi-conscious, still kind of having conversations with people in my group, asking where my friends were and what was happening. So when I landed, I had ended up landing on the left-hand side of my body. So that meant that the left side of my head was impacted. My skull had received a blow, and so naturally a crack was appearing in it and my brain was swelling up, which was an issue. My left ear, which you can't tell today, was nearly completely torn off. It was dangling by a thread. I have tinnitus from the blow that I received, but it's not too loud. I can still deal with it. I had broken my tailbone and I had also broken my left hip. Because I had landed on the left-hand side of my body, left-hand side of your brain is in control of the right-hand side of your body and vice versa. So I had had a tremor in my hand, and because I'm a little bit nervous now, still kind of have it, but you can't really tell at any other point. But after the accident, I remember my hand would just be trembling like this. The tour guide, because of the service and the mountain, he couldn't get a hold of emergency services, and so it took about 4 hours for emergency services to reach us. The Royal Children's Hospital was contacted and a helicopter was sent over to kind of try and find an area to land and get me out. But because we were in such a dense area with lots of trees and shrubs, the helicopter couldn't find a spot that was safe for it to land. So a group of SES rescuers and a paramedic made their way up the mountain to find me. So I was laying on the ground, unconscious, not knowing what was happening. I don't remember any of these things, which I'm kind of grateful for, but I always say to people it would kind of be interesting to know what I would have been like. But I know that the memories would be traumatic and would impact me if they ever came back to me. So I'm grateful that they haven't. Once they put the stretcher out, I was winched up to the helicopter where they put me on life support and flew me back to the Royal Children's Hospital. And I went into a craniotomy surgery where they took a piece of my skull out and put it in the freezer in order for it to mend and heal, so that they could then put it back in about 6 weeks or 7 weeks after. I was put into an induced coma after this and put on life support. They also inserted a breathing tube into my neck, and so that's why I have a tracheotomy scar. My family were contacted kind of in the process of me being flown to hospital, and so obviously they were very anxious about what was going to happen to me and the predicament of what I was going to end up being like. So after the surgery, I was put into ICU, life support, in an induced coma. So the goal of the hospital staff was to kind of have me in this induced coma for a little while and then eventually take me out and see if I would be able to continue breathing by myself and just maintain all of the natural body responses that you would need. So after about a week or two, they took me out of an induced coma, but I remained in that state of being asleep, of not showing really any responses to them. And so that raised concerns for them in what my future was going to look like. My family were taken into lots of different meetings where the team that was operating on me and helping me at this point in the hospital shared their concern that the predicaments of my future might be to be in a bed on life support for the rest of my life. But I always remember my sister always telling me that she didn't believe that. My mum didn't believe it, and my dad, he was anxious but believed that I would be able to make it out. It was 42 days where I was in this unconscious PTA, post-traumatic amnesia, and semi-conscious period. I remember not knowing who was in the room with me, thinking that these people that were in my life were imposters, having no understanding of what had happened to me. Obviously, this was when I was in my PTA, and there were some things that I had done during this period, like throwing hairbrushes and hitting my family members, really traumatic things like that. That do not bring me joy. I remember saying to myself, aren't I meant to be on a school bus going back from camp? Aren't I meant to be at home? Who is this person? Why am I living this way? I was basically trapped in a room with people that I had no idea who they were. And it was really scary. It was like torture for me. The nursing staff and my family obviously had concerns and worries about what the future was going to look like for me. I was showing signs of movement, like kind of moving my arms and legs. Because I hadn't been out of the bed for so long, I remember they had to put like casts on my arms and legs in order to help the bones or preserve the bones or whatever during that time, which I don't understand medical wise. I had no idea what was happening to me. But it was the 5th of December when I finally awoke from this PTA period and I started to act like myself again. I am a little bit of a symbolism person, and I remember it was the day where the nurses kind of drew back the blinds in my room, and I remember seeing the sun and just being like, okay, hello, here I am. And I started to wave, I started to smile, make different movements to my family. I remember giving the finger to my dad, and that was quite funny. It was a day of happiness and gave my parents and the nursing staff relief. Kind of like, here she is world, she is back, she is ready to shine again. That day was really, really special, and we still celebrate it when it comes around each year, because, you know, it was a day where everything kind of changed and we started to look up. So this was when my rehab started, where I learned how to walk, talk, feed myself, do all of the normal things again. It was the start of my journey of being able to get out of the hospital. Whilst this was a really hard period for my family to watch a little girl who had been walking and talking and was so intelligent learn how to do all of the basic things again, I remember just being so positive and so excited and ready to get out of the hospital and return back to school. And maybe this positivity has really just like prolonged throughout the rest of my life since hospital, but I was just ready to live, ready to get out. The hospital staff there were so amazing and I love them. I have made a few visits back to the hospital since being there myself, where I have just met up with the staff, given them big hugs, like seeing the receptionist that I used to see walking through my ward. It was February the next year, 5 months after my accident, that I started to return back to my hometown. I got back into school. I was attending rehab appointments at a nearby town, working with them at school as well, what my plan would kind of look like for the future. Moving through to year 12 and then university, that was kind of the outlook on what my future life was going to look like. I did year 12 over 2 years. Because I was the youngest in the year and I was only turning 17 in my original year in July and turned 18 the second year, it kind of made sense. Received a pretty good HR of 78, I think it was. I was given some really awesome experiences whilst I was at school of speaking at the Royal Children's Hospital at a brain injury conference that was being broadcast to all of these different countries like Dubai, India, Sri Lanka, other places throughout the world. I delivered my speech and presentation there. I was also voted valedictorian by my year at school, which is a person who I guess shows the different values that the school holds, brings everyone together, kind of includes everyone. And I remember doing my speech. It was such an amazing experience. It was the COVID year. It was broadcast, and so it's on YouTube, so I can go back and look at that sometimes if I need some little pushes of inspiration. It was a hard transition back to school, and me reflecting on it now kind of realizes all of the different challenges that I have overcome. In the moment, it didn't seem like a lot, but when I look back now, I am congratulating my past self from being able to get through all of those things with such positivity, optimism, and hope. I don't expect a lot of people to watch this video or receive comments or likes or whatever, but it takes me back to when I was 13 years old and I returned to school with my brain injury and was trying to find someone that was of the same age as me and hear their stories or how they went through the experiences that they were going through. I didn't really have the presence of people online that could give me advice. I didn't really have people close by that were the same age as me that could share their thoughts or experiences with me. And so if I can just be a representation of someone who has been through the experiences and is continuing to endure through the different challenges of what life has to bring, then that would give me so much joy. If this can reach one person out there and make them feel calmer and reassured that what they're feeling is completely normal, that would fill me with so much happiness. It just really make me feel like my message is getting out there. Returning to school where the grade kind of knew about my accident and knew everything that I'd been through really pushed me to continue living a normal life. But no one lives a normal life. I've gotten into university and I'm studying social work there. This is going to be my 3rd year of social work. I've lived 2 years on campus at a college. Honestly, I don't know how I have maintained this positive, uplifting personality, especially during the times where I was learning how to do everything again. I have been through some really challenging years, and these weren't the years where I returned to school after my accident. It's been me living by myself at university, having insomnia and sleeping problems. Really realised the aspects of my life that I need to change in order to benefit me. I had been through something that had almost killed me. Something that could have paralyzed me and made me not be able to walk or talk or perform the way that I do today. And whilst I'm so incredibly grateful for that, I think it doesn't excuse my behavior, or my poor behavior, I should rather say, of thinking negatively and lashing out at the world. I need to take care of my body. I need to move my body. I need to eat healthier. I need to find a way to sleep better. I need to speak and act kinder to myself. I think that every single person out there who can independently move their body and be able to think and make decisions independently should also think a similar way. I have worked so incredibly hard over the past few years, but I get to sit here and share my story with you guys, and the fact that that is able to happen, like, I am just filled with so much gratitude and joy that I get to do that. I'm not making this video to receive praise, and I definitely don't want you to treat me like a different person now that you've heard my story, if you know me personally or not. But I think that my story is a little bit of a beacon of hope for people who are going through similar things, and is kind of an example of the fact that we really don't know what is going on behind the scenes in someone's life. Looking at me or knowing me in life, I've had people come up to me before and be like, I would have no idea that you have a brain injury or have gone through the things that you have gone through. And whilst those are lovely compliments and kind of reinforce to me that I am doing well, I think it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't see, challenges that people with brain injuries face. There's a lot of mental things that I go through that a lot of people don't see. And so I kind of want to give other people with brain injuries kind of a clap of applause here in this video, because I know just how hard it is to come back from something like that and to endure the first years of adulthood with a brain injury. I am just so grateful to be alive. It's just ingrained into my mind. To go through something that is as challenging and life-changing as my accident was, your perspective to your own presence on earth and the opportunities that you have really change. And so no matter the amount of bad things that can be happening in my life, I'm always trying to look on the positive side. I'm always trying to look at life with my cup half full instead of half empty. I'm living in a privileged country, in an amazing house with my amazing family members, and I have beautiful friends around me. Why would I not be happy? How I kind of came out of that period and what I've done to kind of change my life and benefit me and my body is one thing that hopefully on my channel I'm going to be able to get the opportunity to speak about with you guys. But yes, that is a short little story of the accident that kind of changed my life. I've loaded a lot of information onto whoever is watching this video. If you guys really just want to fact check, you can look me up online and it will just back me up. Okay, those ones who don't want to believe those online will support me. This isn't being used to discourage like hiking or adventure trails. Like, people can do whatever they want to do. Myself, I'm probably not going up on a mountain anytime soon for obvious reasons. If you've stuck through to the end of this video, I want to thank you so much for listening to my story. I'm sending lots and lots of love to all of you. I just want to say that no matter what you are experiencing or facing in life right now, I just want to reassure you, I believe in you. You are going to be okay and you are going to be able to get through it. I'm excited for what this journey on YouTube is going to look like. I'm going to be learning a lot of stuff about myself, about how I function the best in my life, and I can't wait to share that with all of you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope that you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. I love you. Bye.